The crystal wine glass caught the light as Damon poured himself a generous measure of Chateauneuf du Pape, the 2015 vintage. $200 a bottle. He'd been saving it for a special occasion, and tonight was that occasion. He stood in the living room of the penthouse he shared with Nala, his wife of 7 years. The floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city lights below, twinkling like fallen stars. Everything in this apartment screamed wealth. The Italian leather sofas, the original abstract paintings, the marble coffee table where his phone now sat, face up, waiting. Damon raised the glass to his lips, savoring the anticipation more than the wine itself. Any minute now. The call would come, the police, the hospital, maybe even a news alert on his phone. Tragic accident on Highway 17. Local businesswoman Nala Chen dies after her Mercedes crashes through guardrail. He'd rehearsed his reaction 1,000 times in the mirror. The shock, the disbelief, the grief of a loving husband. He'd even practiced which photos to show the press. The wedding photo, probably. Nala in white, smiling like she didn't have a care in the world. The phone rang. Damon's heart jumped. He set down the wine glass carefully, letting it ring twice more. Can't seem too eager. On the third ring, he answered, "Hello?" His voice was perfectly calibrated, curious but relaxed. Is this Damon Chen? A male voice. Official. Cop voice. Yes, this is he. What's this about? Mr. Chen, this is Detective Morrison from the State Police. I'm calling about an incident involving a vehicle registered to your wife, Nala Chen. Damon closed his eyes. Showtime. An incident? What kind of incident? Is she okay? Sir, I'm afraid there's been a serious accident on Highway 17, a Mercedes-Benz E-Class, registered to Mrs. Chen. The vehicle went off the road at approximately 9:47 a.m. this morning. Oh my God. Damon's voice cracked perfectly. He'd practiced that crack. Is Nala? Mr. Chen, the accident was fatal. I'm very sorry for your loss. Damon let out a sound that was half sob, half gasp. No, this can't be happening. My Nala. My beautiful wife. He was good at this. Maybe he'd missed his calling as an actor. There was a pause on the line, too long. Detective Morrison's voice changed, became harder. Mr. Chen, we need to ask you some questions about the vehicle's maintenance history. Of course. Anything you need. I can't believe this is real. We also need you to identify someone, Mr. Chen. When we recovered the body from the vehicle, we found identification. The driver's license says her name is Bianca Moretti. Do you know anyone by that name? The world stopped. Damon's hand froze halfway to his forehead. The wine glass on the table seemed to pulse in his peripheral vision. Bianca Moretti. His Bianca. The girl he'd been seeing for 8 months. The girl who begged him to leave Nala. The girl who... Mr. Chen, are you still there? The phone slipped from Damon's hand, clattering onto the marble floor. He heard the detective's tinny voice calling his name, but it sounded like it was coming from underwater, from very far away. Behind him, a key turned in the lock. The front door opened. Footsteps. Familiar footsteps. The click of heels on hardwood that he'd heard every day for 7 years. Damon turned slowly, his body moving like it was trapped in molasses. Nala stood in the doorway, very much alive, her black hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Her designer coat unbuttoned, showing the red dress underneath. In her right hand, she held a set of keys, not her usual Mercedes keys, the keys to the backup car, the Audi she kept in the garage for emergencies. She looked at Damon, at the dropped phone, at the expensive wine, at his face, which had gone the color of old snow. Damon? Her voice was silk over steel. You look like you've seen a ghost. She stepped into the apartment, closing the door behind her with a soft click that sounded, to Damon's ears, exactly like a prison cell locking. Nala walked past Damon like he was a piece of furniture. She set her purse on the console table, placed the Audi keys in the ceramic bowl they kept by the door, and slipped off her coat. Every movement was deliberate, unhurried. She had all the time in the world. Damon's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. On the floor, the detective's voice continued to squawk from the dropped phone. "Mr. Chen? Mr. Chen? We need you to come down to the station. Mr. Chen?" Nala bent down, picked up the phone with 2 fingers like it was something distasteful, and brought it to her ear. "Detective Morrison? This is Nala Chen. I apologize for my husband's behavior. He's had quite a shock, as you can imagine. Yes, I'm aware of the accident, terrible tragedy. Bianca was, well, she was close to the family. My husband will come down to the station tomorrow morning to answer any questions you have. Thank you, Detective." She ended the call and set the phone on the coffee table, right next to Damon's expensive wine. She picked up the glass, sniffed it, and smiled. $200 wine? You really were celebrating, weren't you? Damon finally found his voice. It came out as a strangled whisper. "Nala, I can explain." "Explain what, exactly?" She took a sip of the wine, her eyes never leaving his face. "Explain why you spent 3 hours under my car last night. Explain why you took out a $2 million life insurance policy on me 6 weeks ago. Or maybe you'd like to explain why Bianca Moretti was driving my Mercedes this morning instead of me." The color drained from Damon's face completely. He took a step backward, his legs hitting the sofa. Nala set down the wine glass and walked to her purse. She pulled out her phone, tapped the screen a few times, and turned it toward him. The video was crystal clear. Timestamp: 3:47 a.m. The garage. Their garage. The camera angle showed Damon's Mercedes parked in its spot, and Nala's silver Mercedes E-Class beside it. Then Damon appeared in frame, wearing old clothes, carrying a toolbox. In the video, Damon looked around nervously before sliding under Nala's car. The camera was positioned perfectly to catch everything. His hands working with tools, the brake line, the careful, methodical way he weakened it. Not enough to fail immediately, just enough to fail at the worst possible moment. On a curve, at high speed, the video Damon in the garage checked his work twice, then slid out from under the car. He stood up, wiped his hands on a rag, and looked at the car with an expression that made Damon's current stomach turn. Satisfaction, pride even. The look of a job well done. Video Damon left the garage. The timestamp showed he'd been under there for 43 minutes. "I installed cameras last month," Nala said softly. "After I found the insurance policy papers in your office." "You're not as careful as you think you are, Damon." "The life insurance company sent a confirmation letter to the house. You forgot to change the mailing address to your office." Damon sat down on the sofa. His legs wouldn't hold him anymore. "Nala, please, let me explain. I was desperate. I owed money. Dangerous people. They were going to kill me. So you decided to kill me instead." It wasn't a question. Her voice remained calm, almost conversational. "How much, Damon? How much did you owe that my life became currency?" He couldn't look at her. 3 million. To Viktor Kozlov's people, the Russian syndicate. I had a system, at the casinos. It was working. Nala, I was winning. And then I hit a bad streak and... You gambled away $3 million. Still that calm voice. Somehow worse than screaming. $3 million? Our money? Money from my business? And instead of coming to me, instead of asking for help, you decided to murder me and collect the insurance. It wasn't like that. Damon's voice rose, desperate. I couldn't come to you. You would have divorced me. I would have lost everything. This way, I could pay off the debt and still have money left over. I could start fresh. You could what? Marry Bianca? Live happily ever after on my life insurance money. The mention of Bianca's name made Damon's face crumble. Is she really dead? Bianca? Is she really? She's in intensive care at St. Mercy Hospital. Broken spine, shattered pelvis, severe head trauma. The doctors say if she survives, she'll never walk again. Nala's voice remained steady. The car flipped 4 times before it hit the embankment. The brake failure happened exactly where you planned it would. That hairpin turn on Highway 17, the one with the 200-foot drop, The only reason she survived is that the car hit a tree before it went over the edge. Damon put his head in his hands. The sound that came out of him was animal, raw. Oh God, what have I done? You tried to commit murder, Damon. You tried to kill your wife for insurance money. The fact that your mistress was the one driving instead doesn't change that. He looked up at her, tears streaming down his face. How? How did she end up in your car? Nala smiled. It was not a kind smile. That's the beautiful part. She called me yesterday. Did you know that? Your little Bianca? She called me at my office. 24 hours. Earlier, Nala sat in her office at Chen Luxury Motors, the dealership she'd built from nothing over the past 12 years. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the showroom floor, where millions of dollars in vehicles gleamed under perfect lighting. Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Porsche. She'd started with a small used car lot and built an empire. Her assistant buzzed, "Mrs. Chen, there's a young woman here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment. She says it's personal." Nala checked her calendar. She had 15 minutes before her next meeting. Send her in. The girl who walked through her office door was exactly what Nala expected. 25, maybe 26, blonde hair that cost more than most people's rent, designer handbag that was probably real, dress that was trying very hard to look expensive, but wasn't quite hitting the mark. Nala had seen 1,000 girls like this, girls who wanted to look rich more than they wanted to actually be rich. Mrs. Chen. The girl's voice had a slight tremor, nervous but trying to hide it. "Thank you for seeing me. You have 10 minutes. What's this about?" The girl sat down without being invited. Strike one. "My name is Bianca Moretti. I'm sleeping with your husband." Nala's expression didn't change. She'd known about Bianca for 3 months, had known about the affair for longer than Damon probably realized. "I see. And you're here to tell me this because..." That surprised Bianca. She'd clearly expected tears. Rage, drama. "You're not upset." "Should I be? Affairs are common. Husbands stray. What exactly do you want from me, Miss Moretti?" Bianca's confidence grew. Wrong move. "I want you to let him go. Damon loves me. He's miserable with you. He stays because of your money, but he doesn't love you anymore. If you have any dignity, you'll divorce him and let him be with someone who actually makes him happy." Nala leaned back in her chair. She studied Bianca like she was a car with hidden damage. "Tell me, Miss Moretti, what do you do for a living?" I'm between jobs right now, but I'm an influencer. I have 12,000 followers on Instagram. 12,000. Impressive." Nala's tone made it clear she found it anything but. "And Damon? He takes care of you? Pays your rent? Buys you things?" Bianca's chin lifted. "He treats me like a queen." "Does he?" Nala opened a drawer in her desk and pulled out a folder. She'd had it prepared for 3 days, waiting for the right moment. She slid it across the desk. "Open it." Bianca hesitated, then opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Damon coming out of casinos, Damon meeting with rough-looking men in parking garages, bank statements showing hundreds of thousands of dollars in withdrawals, credit card statements with cash advances, and at the bottom, a printed page from the State Insurance Commission website showing a life insurance policy. Insured, Nala Chen, beneficiary, Damon Chen. Amount, $2 million, date issued 6 weeks ago. Bianca went pale. "What is this?" "Your boyfriend is $3 million in debt to the Russian mob. The men in those photos are Viktor Kozlov's collectors. The casinos have blacklisted him. The banks won't lend to him anymore. He's drowning, Miss Moretti. And do you know what drowning men do?" Bianca couldn't speak. She stared at the insurance policy. "They pull down whoever is closest. Right now, he's planning to kill me for the insurance money. After that..." Nala leaned forward. "How long do you think it will be before he decides you're worth more dead than alive, too? You're young, healthy, an unfortunate accident, another insurance policy. He's already done it once. What's stopping him from doing it again? You're lying." But Bianca's voice had no conviction. "Am I? Ask him about Viktor Kozlov. Ask him about the Bellagio casino. Ask him why he took out a life insurance policy on me 6 weeks ago without telling me. Nala stood up. Your 10 minutes are up, Miss Moretti. Let me give you some advice. When a man can't afford his own life, he'll pay for it with someone else's. Think about whether you want to be the currency. Bianca stood on shaky legs. She left the folder on the desk. At the door, she turned back. Why are you telling me this? If he's planning to kill you, why not just go to the police? Nala smiled. Because proof of intent is harder to get than proof of action. I need him to actually try. And now you're going to help me. What? No. No way. I'm not. You're going to do exactly what I tell you, Miss Moretti. Because if you don't, I'm going to make sure Victor Kozlov knows that you've been spending his money. Those handbags Damon bought you, that rent he pays, that's Kozlov's money. $3 million of it. How do you think Victor handles people who steal from him? Bianca's face went white as paper. Tomorrow morning, Nala continued, you're going to call Damon. You're going to throw a tantrum. You're going to tell him you're tired of being the secret. You're going to demand that he let you drive my car, my silver Mercedes. You're going to insist. You're going to say you want to show your friends that you're dating a successful man. You're going to be bratty and impossible about it. And he's going to say no, but you're going to keep pushing until I intervene. Do you understand? You want me to drive your car? After you just said he's going to... Bianca couldn't even finish the sentence. Don't worry. You won't actually drive it, at least not far. Trust me, Miss Moretti. I know exactly what I'm doing. Present day. Damon stared at Nala in horror. You set her up. You deliberately put Bianca in that car. I gave her a choice. Nala corrected. I told her not to actually drive the car. I told her to call me when she got to it and I'd arrange the rest. But Bianca couldn't help herself. She saw that Mercedes, imagined herself behind the wheel, pictured all her little friends seeing her drive it. Greed makes people stupid, Damon. You should know that better than anyone. You let her drive a car you knew had been sabotaged. I didn't know for certain you'd do it last night. I suspected. I hoped. But you exceeded my expectations. As always. Nala walked to the window, looking out over the city lights. Bianca made her choice. She chose status over safety. She chose a photo opportunity over her life. That's not on me. You're a monster. Damon's voice was hollow. No, Damon. I'm a woman who watched her husband spend 3 hours trying to figure out the best way to murder her. I'm a woman who has kept your business afloat while you pissed away millions at craps tables. I'm a woman who built an empire while you built a pile of gambling debts and a collection of STDs from your little girlfriend. She turned to face him. You tried to kill me for money. I simply made sure you understood what that really meant. Damon stood up. His hands were shaking. What happens now? You have the video. You're going to go to the police. Eventually, but not yet. What do you want? Nala walked back to the coffee table. She picked up her phone and made a call. It rang twice. Yes? A male voice. Rough, accented. Mr. Kozlov, this is Nala Chen. I believe my husband owes you money. Damon lunged forward. No! Nala! Don't! She held up one finger, silencing him. The threat in that gesture was absolute. Mrs. Chen, yes, your husband has been very difficult to reach lately. His debt has grown to $3.2 million with interest. I'm prepared to pay it in full. But I'd like to purchase the debt from you. I want Damon to owe the money to me, not to you. Can that be arranged? A long pause, then a low chuckle. You are negotiating for your husband's debt? I'm negotiating for his obligation. There's a difference. Another pause. This is unusual, but I don't care who he owes as long as I get paid. $3.2 million, cash, tomorrow morning. You come to my office, we do the transfer. The debt becomes yours. Agreed. I'll be there at 9 a.m. She ended the call and looked at Damon. His face had gone from white to gray. You're buying my debt. Someone has to pay for what you've done, Damon. The police will handle the attempted murder, but the debt? That's personal. You're going to spend the rest of your life paying me back. Every dollar, every cent, and until you do, You belong to me. You can't do this. I just did. She moved toward the bedroom. At the door, she stopped. Oh, and Damon, that wine you opened, it was a gift from your mother for our anniversary. She drove 3 hours to bring it to us. She wanted us to celebrate our love. Nala smiled that terrible smile again. I'm going to bed now. I suggest you start thinking about how you're going to explain all of this to her. Because tomorrow, everyone is going to know exactly what you are. She closed the bedroom door. The lock clicked. Damon stood alone in the living room, surrounded by all the expensive things his wife's money had bought. The city glittered below him through the windows. Beautiful. Indifferent. He looked at the wine glass on the table. The dark red liquid inside looking suddenly like blood. On the floor, his dropped phone began to ring again. Detective Morrison. Calling back, Damon didn't answer it. He slid down the wall until he was sitting on the floor, his head in his hands, and for the first time in years, Damon Chen cried real tears. Act 2, The Discovery, The Accident, 25 yen 50 Bauer, English version. The morning had started like any other Wednesday. Damon woke at 7 and showered, dressed in his usual business casual attire. He came into the kitchen where Nala was already sitting at the island counter, drinking her green smoothie and scrolling through emails on her tablet. Morning, he said, his voice carefully casual. His heart was hammering so hard he was sure she could hear it across the room. Morning. She didn't look up from her screen. Damon poured himself coffee. His hands were steady. He'd practiced this. Act normal. Everything is normal. In a few hours, she'll be on Highway 17 heading to her meeting with the BMW regional manager. She always took Highway 17. It was faster than the interstate, and Nala hated traffic. The hairpin turn was at mile marker 43. She'd be doing 60, maybe 65. The brakes would feel soft at first. She'd pump them. Nothing. The pedal would go straight to the floor, and then the curve would come, and the guardrail, and the 200-foot drop into the ravine. They'd find the car eventually. Days, maybe. The investigation would show brake failure, worn brake lines. Could happen to any car, really. Tragic accident, loving husband, devastated, $2 million, minus funeral costs. Damon took a sip of coffee. It tasted like victory. His phone buzzed. Text message. He glanced at the screen and his blood froze. Bianca. We need to talk. Now. I'm coming over. He typed quickly. No, not here. I'll meet you somewhere. Bianca. I'm already on my way. 10 minutes. Damon looked at Nala. She was still absorbed in her tablet, hadn't noticed his panic. He had to get Bianca out of here before she arrived, before she caused a scene, before she said something that would... The doorbell rang. Nala looked up. Expecting someone? No, probably just a delivery. Damon moved toward the door, but Nala was faster. She slid off her stool and walked to the intercom screen by the entrance. On the screen, Bianca stood in the lobby downstairs, her finger pressed to their buzzer. She was wearing too much makeup and a dress that was trying too hard. Even through the grainy security camera, her agitation was obvious. Who is that? Nala asked, her voice curious. I don't know. Probably has the wrong apartment. Nala pressed the intercom button. Yes? Can I help you? Bianca's voice crackled through the speaker. I need to see Damon. Tell him Bianca is here. The silence in the apartment was absolute. Damon felt his stomach drop through the floor. Nala turned to look at him. Her face was perfectly calm. Bianca, that's an unusual name, friend of yours. Nala, I can explain. She turned back to the intercom. Come on up, Bianca. Penthouse level. She pressed the buzzer to unlock the lobby door. Hey, what are you doing? Damon hissed. Inviting your guest up? It would be rude not to. Nala walked back to the kitchen, picked up her smoothie, and took a long sip. This should be interesting. 3 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Nala opened it. Bianca stood in the hallway, her confidence from the security camera already evaporating. Face to face with Nala Chen in her own home, Surrounded by evidence of wealth that Bianca could only pretend to have, the younger woman suddenly looked very small. "Please, come in." Nala stepped aside. Bianca entered, her eyes darting around the penthouse, taking in the original art, the custom furniture, the floor-to-ceiling windows with their million-dollar view. Every detail screamed money. Real money. Not Instagram money. Damon stood frozen by the kitchen island. "Bianca," Nala said warmly, "would you like some coffee? Smoothie?" Damon was just having his morning caffeine. No, thank you." Bianca's voice had lost its edge. She looked at Damon. "We need to talk, privately." "I don't think that's necessary," Nala said. "I assume you're here to discuss your relationship with my husband. Please, let's all be adults about this." "Damon, why don't you tell Bianca what you told me about her last week?" Damon's throat closed. "Nala, please. You said she was clingy." That was the word you used, wasn't it? Clingy and delusional. You said she kept talking about marriage and that you'd had to explain several times that you were never leaving your wife. Bianca's face went white, then red. "That's not true. Damon, tell her that's not true." Damon couldn't speak. His voice had abandoned him entirely. "He also mentioned you were getting too expensive," Nala continued, her tone still pleasant, conversational. "Something about demanding handbags and complaining when he wouldn't buy you a car. A Mercedes, I think you wanted." Bianca's hands clenched into fists. "He promised me." "Men promise a lot of things." Nala walked to the window. "Damon, didn't you promise Bianca that you'd leave me? Take her to Paris? Buy her a condo in the city?" Tears started down Bianca's face, ruining her carefully applied makeup. "You bastard. You said you loved me." "He says that to everyone, dear." Nala turned back from the window. "But since you're here, and since you brought up the car situation, I have a proposal." Bianca wiped her eyes. "What?" "I have a Mercedes E-Class, silver, beautiful car. I'm not using it today. Why don't you borrow it?" The offer hung in the air like smoke. Damon's heart stopped. "What?" Bianca's tears paused. "You want to lend me your car?" "Why not? You clearly want one. I have one sitting in the garage. It seems like a reasonable solution. You can drive it today, post some photos for your Instagram followers, show your friends that you're dating a successful man." Nala's smile was gentle. "Consider it an apology from Damon for wasting your time." "Nala, no." Damon finally found his voice. "You need the car today. You're meeting with BMW. You always take the Mercedes to meetings. I can take the Audi or call a car service. It's not a problem." Nala walked to the console table by the door and picked up her Mercedes keys. The silver key fob glinted in the morning light. "What do you say, Bianca? Want to drive a real Mercedes instead of just posting photos of other people's cars?" Bianca looked at the keys, then at Damon, then back at the keys. The hunger in her eyes was visible, physical. All those Instagram posts she'd made sitting in cars at dealerships, pretending they were hers. All those photos of other people's luxury vehicles with carefully cropped captions that implied ownership. Now she could have the real thing. Could post herself actually driving a Mercedes. Could park it in front of her friends' apartments and watch their envy. "Bianca, don't." Damon's voice was desperate now. "You don't need to—" "Yes," Bianca said. "Yes, I'll take the car." Nala tossed her the keys. Bianca caught them, her fingers closing around the fob like it was a winning lottery ticket. "Parking level 2, space 17, the silver E-Class. You can't miss it." Nala turned back to her tablet. "Do bring it back by tonight, though. I'll need it tomorrow." Bianca clutched the keys to her chest. Thank you. Thank you." She looked at Damon one more time. Her expression was complicated. Anger, triumph, satisfaction. "I guess I got something from this relationship after all." She left. The door closed behind her. Damon stood motionless, his coffee cooling in his hand. "What have you done?" "I lent a car to your mistress." "Why? Is there a problem?" Nala's eyes met his over her tablet. There was something in them, something dark and knowing. Nala, please, call her back. Tell her the car has mechanical issues. Tell her what, Damon? That her married boyfriend spent last night sabotaging it. That he was planning to murder his wife this morning. Nala set down her tablet. I think Bianca will be fine. After all, it's just a car. What could possibly go wrong? Damon ran for the door. He yanked it open and rushed to the elevator, pressed the button frantically. The elevator was on the ground floor, too far. He hit the button again and again, as if that would make it move faster. Behind him, Nala appeared in the doorway of the penthouse. She leaned against the frame, watching him. The stairwell is faster, she said helpfully. Parking level 2 is only 3 flights down. Damon abandoned the elevator and threw open the stairwell door. His dress shoes slapped against concrete as he took the stairs 2 at a time. His breath came in ragged gasps. His mind was screaming. Stop her! Stop her before she gets to the car. Before she starts the engine. Before she... He burst through the door to parking level 2. Overhead fluorescents cast harsh shadows between the concrete pillars. The sound of an engine starting echoed through the garage. No. Damon ran toward Space 17. He could see the Mercedes, silver. Perfect. Bianca was inside, checking herself in the rearview mirror, adjusting her hair, taking a selfie with the steering wheel visible in the frame. Bianca! Damon screamed. Stop! Don't drive the car! She looked up, saw him running toward her. Her expression changed. Annoyance. She put the car in reverse. Bianca, wait, the car isn't safe. But she couldn't hear him through the closed windows. Or maybe she could and didn't care. She backed out of the space, and Damon had to jump aside to avoid being hit. He slammed his hand against the window. Bianca, stop. She looked at him through the glass. For a moment, their eyes met. Then she smiled. Not a nice smile. A smile that said she'd won something. That she'd gotten one over on him. On Nala. On all of them. She shifted into drive and pressed the accelerator. The Mercedes glided toward the exit ramp. Damon ran after it, screaming, but the car was already gone. Up the ramp, out of the garage, into the morning traffic. Damon stood in the empty parking space, breathing hard. His phone buzzed. Text from Bianca. Thanks for the car, asshole. Don't call me again. Another buzz. This time, Instagram notification. Bianca had posted a photo. Herself in the driver's seat of the Mercedes. Sunglasses on. Caption. Finally driving the car I deserve. Mercedes-Benz. Luxury. Life. Know your worth. Damon's hands were shaking. He pulled up Bianca's number and called. Straight to voicemail. She'd blocked him. He tried again. Same result. He stood there in the parking garage, surrounded by expensive cars and concrete, and felt the walls of his world closing in. 45 minutes later, Damon sat in the penthouse, staring at his phone. Nala had left for her office 20 minutes ago. She'd kissed him on the cheek on her way out the door, like she always did, like nothing was happening, like she hadn't just sent his mistress to her death. He'd tried calling Bianca 17 times. All blocked. He'd sent texts. Undelivered. He'd checked her Instagram. She'd posted 2 more photos. One at a red light, the Mercedes hood ornament in focus. One on the highway, the speedometer showing 65 miles per hour. Highway 17. She was on Highway 17. Damon stood up, sat down, stood up again. He couldn't stay here. Couldn't just wait for the news. He grabbed his keys and headed for the door. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered it, praying it was Bianca calling from someone else's phone. Hello? Mr. Chen, this is St. Mercy Hospital. We have a young woman here, Bianca Moretti. You're listed as her emergency contact. There's been an accident. The room tilted. Is she alive? She's in surgery now. You should come immediately. It's serious. Damon drove to the hospital in a daze. He couldn't remember getting in his car, couldn't remember the route. Suddenly, he was just there, in the emergency room parking lot, running toward the entrance. The ER was chaos. Ambulances, trauma teams. Someone was screaming. Damon went to the desk, Bianca Moretti. I'm her. I'm her emergency contact. The nurse checked her computer. She's in surgery, Trauma Bay 3. Are you family? I'm. What was he? Her boyfriend? Her married boyfriend who just tried to kill his wife and accidentally killed her instead? I'm the closest thing she has. The nurse's expression softened. Fourth floor, surgical waiting room. Someone will update you when they can. Damon took the elevator to the fourth floor. The waiting room was full of people with worried faces. He found a seat in the corner and put his head in his hands. 3 hours later, a surgeon emerged. Tired eyes, bloody scrubs. Family of Bianca Moretti. Damon stood. How is she? She's alive. Barely. The next 48 hours are critical. She has a broken spine, shattered pelvis, severe internal bleeding, and significant head trauma. We've stabilized her for now, but the surgeon paused. Even if she survives, she'll likely never walk again. The spinal damage is extensive. Can I see her? She's in the ICU, heavily sedated, but yes, briefly. Damon followed the surgeon through locked doors, down sterile hallways that smelled of disinfectant and despair. The ICU was quiet. Machines beeped. Ventilators hissed. Bianca was in room 7. She didn't look like Bianca anymore. Her face was swollen, bruised purple and black. Tubes ran into her mouth, her arms, her chest. Monitors surrounded the bed, displaying vital signs in glowing numbers. Her blonde hair was matted with blood. Damon stood in the doorway, unable to move closer. A nurse adjusted an IV. Are you the boyfriend? Damon couldn't finish the sentence. She's lucky to be alive. The car was completely destroyed. Highway patrol said it looked like brake failure. The vehicle flipped 4 times before hitting a tree. Another 10 feet and she'd have gone over the cliff. Brake failure. The words echoed in Damon's skull. The police will want to talk to her when she wakes up. The nurse continued. If she wakes up? They're investigating the vehicle maintenance records, trying to determine if this was negligence or what? The nurse looked at him. Her eyes were knowing. Or something else. Damon's phone buzzed. Text from Nala. How is she? His fingers trembled as he typed. Why? Nala. Why what? Damon. Why did you give her the keys? You knew. Nala. I gave her a choice. She made it. Actions have consequences, Damon. You taught me that last night at 3:47 a.m. Damon. She's going to die. Nala. She might survive. Humans are resilient. But even if she does, she'll spend the rest of her life remembering that the car she couldn't wait to drive, the car she chose over her own safety because she wanted Instagram likes and her friends' envy, was the car that broke her body. Tell me, Damon, do you think she'll ever look at a Mercedes the same way again? Damon, you're a monster. Nala, no. I'm just someone who understands the value of letting people face the consequences of their own greed. You wanted to kill me for money. She wanted to drive my car for status. The universe has a way of connecting cause and effect. Don't you think? Damon, the police are going to investigate the car. They're going to find out it was sabotaged. Nala, yes, they will. And when they do, they'll want to know who had access to the vehicle, who had motive, who stands to benefit from my death. Nala. Tick-tock. Damon, the clock is running. Damon looked up from his phone. Through the ICU window, he could see Bianca's broken body, machines breathing for her, keeping her alive. He thought about the video Nala had, him under the car, the tools, the brake line, 3 hours of premeditated murder captured in perfect high definition. He thought about Viktor Kozlov and $3.2 million in gambling debt. He thought about the life insurance policy with his name as beneficiary. And he realized, with terrible clarity, that Nala had just engineered the perfect trap. She hadn't just survived his murder attempt. She'd turned it into a weapon, and she was going to destroy him with it. Damon returned to the penthouse at midnight. The apartment was dark except for a single lamp in the living room. Nala sat on the sofa, a glass of wine in her hand, reading a book. She looked up when he entered. How is she? Her voice was gentle, concerned, like a normal wife asking about a sick friend. Critical. They don't know if she'll make it through the night. Damon's voice was hollow. He'd spent 12 hours at the hospital, watching machines breathe for Bianca, watching her chest rise and fall mechanically. Her parents are flying in from New Jersey tomorrow. That's good. She shouldn't be alone. Damon stared at her. How can you sit there like nothing happened? You did this. You gave her those keys knowing... Knowing what, Damon? Nala closed her book. That you'd spent 3 hours sabotaging my car? That you were planning to murder me? Yes, I knew that. What I didn't know was that Bianca would be foolish enough to actually drive it. I gave her explicit instructions. She chose to ignore them. You set her up. No, I gave her information and options. She made her choices, just like you made yours when you crawled under my car with a wrench. Nala stood up, walked to the window. The police called me today. Did you know that? They want to inspect the Mercedes. What's left of it, anyway. They're very interested in the brake system. Damon's blood ran cold. What did you tell them? The truth, that the car was serviced 3 months ago at my dealership, that it's been regularly maintained, that I have no idea how the brakes could have failed so catastrophically. She turned to face him. Of course, I didn't mention the security camera footage. Not yet. Nala, please. We can fix this. We can say it was an accident, faulty maintenance. The dealership's fault. I'll take the blame for not checking. You'll take the blame? Nala laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Oh, Damon, you're going to take all of the blame, but not the way you're thinking. She walked past him toward the bedroom. I'm tired. Long day. You should get some sleep too. Tomorrow is going to be very busy. What happens tomorrow? Nala paused at the bedroom door. Tomorrow I pay Viktor Kozlov $3.2 million. Tomorrow your debt becomes mine. Tomorrow you start understanding what it means to be owned. She closed the door. The lock clicked. Damon stood alone in the living room. He looked around at the expensive furniture, the artwork, the floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city at night. Everything was exactly as it had been this morning. Nothing had changed. Except everything had changed. He slept on the sofa that night, or tried to. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Bianca's broken body in the hospital bed, heard the sound of machines keeping her alive, remembered her smile as she drove away in the Mercedes, so proud, so happy to finally have something worth posting about. At 3:47 a.m. exactly, he heard a sound. Metal on metal. A ratcheting noise. Coming from the garage. Damon sat up, his heart pounding. He walked to the door that led to their private garage entrance, put his ear against it. The sound continued. Tools. Someone was using tools in the garage. He opened the door slowly. The garage was dark except for a work light positioned under Nala's Audi. Someone was under the car. Nala? The sound stopped. Then Nala's voice, muffled. Just checking something. Go back to sleep. What are you doing under the car at 3 a.m? Nala slid out from under the Audi. She was wearing old clothes, had grease on her hands. In the work light, her face looked skull-like. Hollow. Maintenance. The brakes felt soft yesterday. Thought I should check them. The symbolism was not subtle. Damon's legs went weak. You're insane. Am I, or am I just being careful? After all, we've learned that brake failure can happen to anyone, at any time, on any car. She picked up a wrench, examined it. Terrible thing, faulty brakes. You never know when they might give out. You're trying to scare me. Is it working? Nala smiled. Go back to bed, Damon. I'll be done here soon. But Damon couldn't move. He stood in the doorway, watching his wife work under the car with tools at 3:47 a.m, at the exact time he'd done the same thing 24 hours earlier. When she finally came back inside an hour later, Damon was still awake on the sofa. He didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, Nala dressed in a black business suit. She looked like she was going to a funeral, or an execution. I have a meeting with Viktor Kozlov at 9 chai, she said, adjusting her collar in the mirror. I should be back by noon. Try not to do anything stupid while I'm gone. Nala, you can't pay that debt. That's $3 million. 3.2 million. Actually, interest. She picked up her briefcase. Don't worry. The dealership is doing well. I have the cash. That's your business. Your life's work. Yes, and you were willing to kill me for it. Consider this me paying for my own life. Seems fair, doesn't it? She moved toward the door. Oh, and Damon, don't think about running. I've alerted the police that you might be a flight risk. They're very interested in talking to you about your relationship with Bianca, about whether you knew she'd be driving my car, about the life insurance policy. I didn't know she'd drive the car. You gave her the keys. I did, but you sabotaged it. Interesting legal question, isn't it? If someone sets a trap for one person and someone else falls into it, who's responsible? Nala opened the door. My lawyer says it's complicated. Could go either way, especially with that video of you under the car. Juries love video evidence. She left. Damon paced the apartment for 3 hours. He tried Bianca's parents' number. They wouldn't talk to him. He tried calling the hospital. No change in Bianca's condition. He tried calling his own lawyer. Voicemail. At 11:30, his phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Chen, this is Victor Kozlov. Damon's breath caught. Mr. Kozlov, I was going to call you. About the debt. The debt is paid. Your wife, she is a very impressive woman, very smart. She come to my office this morning with briefcase full of cash, $3.2 million. She counted herself, very careful. Make sure every dollar is correct. She paid it? Yes. And now, debt is transferred. You owe money to your wife now, not to me. This is good for you, I think. She will not break your legs if you are late with payment. Kozlov chuckled. Though maybe she will do something worse. Yes. She has very cold eyes. Your wife. Very smart eyes. I like her. She should be in business with me. What did she say to you? She say many things. She say you are very bad with money. She say you are very bad husband. She say you try to kill her. Another chuckle. I believe her. She show me video on her phone. You under car with tools. Very stupid. Mr. Chen. Very amateur. If you want to kill someone, you hire professional. Not do yourself. She showed you the video. Yes. She want me to know what kind of man you are. She want me to know that if you come to me again for money, I should say no. She want me to know that you are her problem now, not mine. A pause. Good luck, Mr. Chen. I think you will need it. The line went dead. Damon sat down heavily on the sofa. Nala had shown the video to Victor Kozlov, to a Russian mobster. How many other people had she shown it to? How many people now knew what he'd done? The front door opened. Nala entered, looking satisfied. All done. You're officially debt-free to the Russians. Congratulations. She set down her briefcase. Now you just owe me $3.2 million, plus interest. I'm thinking 8% annually. Sound fair? You showed Kozlov the video. I did. I wanted him to understand why I was buying your debt, why I was willing to pay so much to own your obligation. Nala walked to the kitchen, poured herself water. He was very understanding, even offered to solve my Damon problem for me, free of charge. Apparently, attempted spousal murder is frowned upon in Russian criminal circles. Who knew? What did you say? I said thank you, but I prefer to handle my own problems. She drank the water. Besides, killing you would be too easy. Where's the satisfaction in that? So what? You're going to torture me instead. Torture? Nala looked genuinely surprised. Damon, I'm not going to torture you. I'm simply going to let you live with what you've done. Let you wake up every day knowing that you tried to murder me and failed. Let you go to sleep every night wondering if today's the day I show that video to the police. Let you watch your mistress die slowly in the hospital, knowing you put her there. Bianca isn't dead. Not yet. But the doctors say the infection is spreading. Something about internal injuries. Compromised immune system. They give her 48 hours, maybe less. Nala's voice was clinical. Her parents arrived this morning. They wanted to know who you were. I told them you were the man their daughter was sleeping with, the married man. They didn't take it well. Damon's hands clenched. You told her parents. Someone had to. You were too much of a coward. Nala moved toward the bedroom. They're at the hospital now. I believe they said something about pressing charges if you show your face there again. Something about contributing to her reckless behavior, emotional manipulation. We'll see what the lawyers say. That night, Damon lay on the sofa again, staring at the ceiling. At 3:47 a.m., the sounds started again. Metal on metal, tools in the garage. He got up, walked to the garage door, pressed his ear against it. Nala's voice, just tightening some bolts. Nothing to worry about. Damon opened the door. What are you doing? She slid out from under his Mercedes this time. His car. Your brake pads are worn. Thought I'd replace them. Can't be too careful with brake maintenance. Not after what happened to Bianca. Stop this. Stop what? Vehicle maintenance? I own a dealership, Damon. Cars are my business. She stood up, wiped her hands. You should appreciate this. I'm making sure your car is safe. Wouldn't want you to have an accident. You're trying to drive me crazy. Am I? Or am I just being a responsible car owner? She walked past him into the apartment. Get some sleep, Damon. You look terrible. But Damon couldn't sleep. Every night at 3:47 a.m., the sounds would start. Tools, metal, sometimes under his car, sometimes under hers, sometimes under both. On the fourth night, he snapped. He burst into the garage to find Nala under the Audi again. Stop it, just stop it. I know what you're doing. She slid out slowly. What am I doing, Damon? You're torturing me. Every night at the same time, the same sounds, making me relive it, making me remember. Oh, so now you remember. Funny how that works. Nala stood up. You spent 3 hours under my car planning my murder, and I'm supposed to forget about it. But I spend a few minutes checking brake lines, and suddenly it's torture. Please, Damon's voice broke. Please, just turn me in, give the video to the police, let this end. End? But we're just getting started. Nala moved closer to him. You don't get to quit, Damon. You don't get the easy way out. You're going to live with this. Every day. Every night. Every time you see a Mercedes. Every time you hear about brake failure on the news. Every time someone mentions life insurance. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. I was desperate. I was stupid. I made a terrible mistake. A mistake? Nala's voice went cold. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. You didn't make a mistake, Damon. You made a choice. You chose your gambling debts over my life. You chose $2 million over 23 years of knowing me. You chose to spend 3 hours under a car with tools, thinking about the best way to kill me, and that wasn't a mistake. That was a decision. She walked back into the apartment, leaving Damon alone in the garage with the tools and the work light and the cars that suddenly looked like metal coffins. On the 6th day, Nala had a visitor. Detective Morrison came to the penthouse at 2 p.m. Damon heard them talking in the living room while he hid in the bedroom. Mrs. Chen, we've completed our analysis of the Mercedes. The brake line was deliberately compromised. This wasn't mechanical failure. This was sabotage. Sabotage? Who would do such a thing? That's what we're trying to determine. We need to know who had access to the vehicle, who had opportunity, who had motive. A long pause. Then Nala's voice. My husband had access. He parks his car next to mine. He has keys to the garage. Would your husband have any reason to want to harm you? Another pause. Longer this time. Detective, I'd rather not speculate, but there are some financial documents you should see, and perhaps some security footage that might be relevant. We'll need to bring your husband in for questioning. Of course. I'll have him contact you. The detective left. Damon emerged from the bedroom. You told him about me. I answered his questions honestly. That's what innocent people do, Damon. Nala was at her laptop, typing. He'll want to talk to you tomorrow. I suggest you get a lawyer. You're setting me up. No. I'm letting the truth come out. There's a difference. She closed the laptop. Speaking of truth, I have something to show you. Come with me. She led him to the garage, to her laptop set up on a workbench. She opened a file. Video footage, multiple angles, the garage, the penthouse, the elevator, time-stamped, dated. I've been recording everything for 6 weeks, Damon. Every conversation, every movement, every moment of our lives. She scrolled through files. Here's you researching life insurance policies. Here's you on the phone with Victor Kozlov's people. Here's you Googling how to cause brake failure. Here's you practicing your grief face in the bathroom mirror. Damon's legs gave out. He sat down hard on the concrete floor. You've been planning this whole thing. You've been documenting everything. Of course, I'm a businesswoman. I believe in thorough documentation. Nala crouched down to his level. The moment I found that insurance policy, I knew what you were planning. So I prepared cameras, recordings, evidence. I gave you every opportunity to change your mind, to come to me, to ask for help. And instead, you went into the garage at 3:47 a.m. with tools and murder on your mind. Why didn't you just call the police then? Why let Bianca get hurt? Because intent is hard to prove. Action is easy. I needed you to actually do it, Damon. I needed you to commit the crime so there would be no doubt, no room for you to claim you were just checking the brakes or doing routine maintenance. You had to actually cut the line, had to actually try to kill someone. But Bianca made her own choices. I warned her. I told her not to drive the car. I gave her every opportunity to walk away. She chose Instagram likes over her own safety. She chose status over survival. That's not on me. Damon looked up at her. You're a monster. No, I'm a survivor. There's a difference. Nala stood up. Now, I believe you have a visit to make. To the hospital. To say goodbye. Goodbye. Bianca died an hour ago. The infection reached her heart. Her parents want you there for the death certificate. You're still listed as her emergency contact. Nala walked toward the apartment door. I'd hurry if I were you. They're very angry. And hospital security can only do so much. St. Mercy Hospital, 4 p.m. Damon stood outside the ICU, unable to make himself go in. Through the window, he could see Bianca's parents. Her mother was crying. Her father had his arm around her. Both of them looked broken. A nurse approached. Are you Damon Chen? Yes. They want to see you. Room 7. Damon walked into the ICU, into room 7. The machines were off now. Silent. Bianca lay on the bed, covered with a white sheet up to her neck. Her face was peaceful now. No more pain, no more broken bones, just stillness. Her father looked up. His eyes were red. Mr. Moretti, I'm so sorry. Sorry. The man's voice was raw. My daughter is dead because of you, because you were a coward, because you couldn't leave your rich wife, so you kept Bianca as your dirty little secret. You gave her hope. You made her think she mattered. And then you let her die. I didn't know she was going to drive the car. But you knew your wife. You knew how vindictive she could be. You should have protected Bianca. Instead, you let her become a pawn in your twisted marriage. Mr. Moretti stepped closer. The police told us about the car, about the sabotage. They think you did it. They think you tried to kill your wife and killed my daughter instead. That's not, I didn't. Get out. Get out of this room. Get out of this hospital. And if I ever see you again, God help me, I won't be responsible for what I do. Damon backed out of the room. Into the hallway. Into the elevator. Into his car. He sat in the hospital parking lot for an hour, unable to move, unable to think. His phone buzzed. Text from Nayla. I've decided to show the video to the police tomorrow. Detective Morrison is coming at 9 a.m. I suggest you be there. Oh, and I've invited some other people too. Your mother? Your sister? My attorney? Victor Kozlov sent flowers. Isn't that thoughtful? Tomorrow, everyone will know what you are. Sleep well, Damon. It's your last night as a free man. Damon didn't sleep that night. He sat at the kitchen island, watching the city lights fade as dawn approached. His phone sat in front of him. Nala's last message glowing on the screen. Tomorrow, everyone will know what you are. At 6 a.m., Nala emerged from the bedroom, already dressed, not in her usual business attire, but in something more formal. A black dress, pearls. She looked like she was going to a funeral. "You're up early," she said, pouring herself coffee. "I couldn't sleep." Guilty conscience? She took a sip, watching him over the rim of the cup. Or just anticipation? "Nala, please. We can fix this. We can tell the police it was an accident. The dealership's maintenance records. Faulty parts. We can tell the truth." She set down the cup. "That's what we're going to do today. Tell the truth, all of it. You're going to destroy me." "No, Damon. You destroyed yourself. I'm just going to make sure everyone sees the rubble." She checked her watch. "We have 3 hours before Detective Morrison arrives. I suggest you shower, shave, dress nicely. First impressions matter, even when you're confessing to attempted murder." "I'm not confessing to anything." Nala smiled. "We'll see." At 8:30 a.m., people started arriving. Damon watched from the bedroom window as cars pulled into the building's parking garage. Expensive cars, his mother's Lincoln, his sister's BMW, the detective's unmarked sedan, a black Mercedes that Damon didn't recognize but somehow knew belonged to Nala's attorney. At 8:45, there was a knock at the door. Nala opened it. "Mom!" Damon heard his voice crack. His mother stood in the hallway, her face a mixture of confusion and concern. She was 72, elegant, with silver hair and the kind of posture that came from decades of cotillions and country clubs. "Damon, what's going on? Nala called me last night. She said it was urgent. She said I needed to be here." His mother looked past him to Nala. "What's happening?" "Please, come in, Mrs. Chen." Nala stepped aside. "We're waiting for a few more people." Damon's sister arrived next. Jennifer, 2 years younger, a corporate lawyer with her own firm in the city. She took one look at Damon's face and her expression hardened. "What did you do?" "Jen, I can explain. Whenever you say that, it means something terrible." She walked past him without another word. At 8:55, Detective Morrison arrived with a partner. They wore suits and serious expressions. Behind them came a woman in her 50s, carrying a briefcase. Nala's attorney, Catherine Walsh. Damon had met her once at a charity function. She'd intimidated him then. She terrified him now. At exactly 9 a.m., Nala closed the door. 7 people in the living room. Damon felt like a specimen under glass. "Thank you all for coming," Nala began. Her voice was calm, professional, like she was opening a business meeting. "I know this is unusual, but I needed witnesses for what I'm about to share. I needed people who know Damon, people who love him, people who will understand the gravity of what's happened." Damon's mother stood up. "Nala, dear, you're scaring me. What is this about?" "It's about your son trying to kill me for $2 million in life insurance money." The silence was absolute. Damon's mother sat back down like her legs had been cut out from under her. "That's ridiculous," Jennifer said, but her voice lacked conviction. She was looking at Damon, searching his face for denial. Finding none. "Is it?" Nala walked to her laptop, already set up on the coffee table. "Detective Morrison, you've been investigating the brake failure that injured Bianca Moretti, the brake failure that killed her 2 days ago. I believe I have evidence that will help your investigation." She turned the laptop toward the room, pressed play. The video was even worse in a room full of people. The timestamp, the garage, Damon with his toolbox, sliding under the Mercedes, the careful, methodical sabotage, 43 minutes of premeditated murder. Damon's mother made a sound, a wounded animal sound. His sister's hand went to her mouth. Detective Morrison leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the screen. "Mrs. Chen, when did you record this?" "The night before Bianca's accident. The camera system has been running for 6 weeks. I have timestamps, metadata, everything you need to verify authenticity." "And you didn't report this immediately because I needed to be sure. I needed evidence of intent, motive, and action. Intent was the life insurance policy he took out without my knowledge." Motive was his gambling debt to Viktor Kozlov. Action was this. She gestured to the screen. 3 hours of my husband trying to figure out how to kill me without getting caught. The video ended. No one moved. That's my car, Damon's mother whispered. That's my son. But he wouldn't. He couldn't. I'm afraid he could, Mrs. Chen, and he did. Nala pulled up another file. Here's footage of him researching brake line sabotage. Here's his Google search history. How to cut brake lines without leaving evidence. Life insurance payout timeline after death. Best curves for automotive accidents. He spent weeks planning this. Jennifer was crying now. Silent tears running down her face. Damon, tell me she's lying. Tell me this is some kind of mistake. Damon opened his mouth. Nothing came out. What could he say? The evidence was there. Undeniable. Perfect. Show them the rest, Catherine Walsh said quietly. She'd been silent until now, letting the video speak for itself. Show them what happened next. Nala nodded. She pulled up another video. The penthouse, that morning, Bianca arriving, the confrontation, Nala offering the car keys, Bianca's eager acceptance. You gave her the keys, Detective Morrison said slowly. Knowing the car had been sabotaged. I gave her a choice, Nala corrected. I told her the night before not to drive the car. I warned her. But Bianca wanted what she wanted. Status. Photos. Proof that she was dating a successful man. She chose Instagram over her own survival. That's convenient, the detective said. You told her not to drive the car, but you gave her the keys anyway. Yes, because I needed to know what Damon would do. Would he stop her? Would he confess? Would he show any shred of humanity? Nala looked at Damon. What did you do, Damon, when you saw Bianca take those keys? Damon's voice was barely a whisper. I tried to stop her. I ran after her. But she wouldn't listen. You tried to stop her. Nala's voice rose for the first time. You screamed at her not to drive the car, in front of everyone in the parking garage. Did you tell her why? Did you say, Bianca, I sabotaged that car to kill my wife? Did you say, the brakes are going to fail and you're going to die? I couldn't. You couldn't what? Incriminate yourself. So instead, you let her drive away. You let her get on Highway 17. You let her hit that curve at 65 miles an hour with no brakes. You let her flip 4 times and break her spine and shatter her pelvis and die 2 days later in agony. All because you couldn't admit what you'd done. Damon's mother stood up. Her face was white. I need to leave. I can't hear this. No, Mom, please. Damon reached for her. She jerked away like he'd burned her. Don't touch me. Don't you dare touch me. Her voice shook. I gave birth to you. I raised you. I taught you right from wrong, and you tried to murder your wife for money. Mom, I was desperate. Viktor Kozlov was going to kill me. I had $3 million in gambling debts. I had no choice. No choice? His mother's voice turned to steel. You had 1,000 choices. You could have come to me, to your father, to Jennifer. We would have helped you. We would have found a way. But instead, you chose murder. You chose to kill a woman who loved you, who built a business from nothing, who gave you everything. She doesn't love me. She never loved me. I was just a status symbol, a husband to show off at parties. Is that what you told yourself? Nala's voice was soft now. Dangerous. That I didn't love you, that this was somehow my fault? Tell them, Damon. Tell your mother how much I loved you. Tell her about the first 5 years. Tell her how I worked 80-hour weeks to build the dealership so you could go to business school. Tell her how I paid off your student loans. Tell her how I stood by you when your startup failed. Tell her how many times I forgave you for cheating. Cheating? Jennifer's head snapped up. Bianca wasn't the first. Bianca was number 4. That I know of. Nala's voice remained calm, clinical. But I stayed because I loved him, because I believed people could change, because I thought marriage meant forgiveness and second chances. She looked at Damon. But planning to murder me? That's not a mistake you forgive. That's not something you work through in couples therapy. Detective Morrison stood up. Mr. Chen, I'm going to need you to come to the station. We have questions about the vehicle sabotage, about your relationship with Bianca Moretti, and about this life insurance policy. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but I strongly suggest you bring an attorney. Damon looked at his sister. Jennifer shook her head. Don't look at me. I'm a corporate attorney. You need a criminal defense lawyer. And I want nothing to do with this. Jen, please. You tried to kill your wife, Damon. Your wife. The woman who stood by you for 7 years, who paid your debts, who forgave your affairs. And when that wasn't enough, you tried to murder her. Jennifer stood up, grabbed her purse. I have 2 daughters. What am I supposed to tell them about their uncle? That he's a would-be murderer? That he valued money more than human life? I never meant for Bianca to get hurt. But you meant for Nala to die. Jennifer's voice cracked. Don't you understand that? You spent 3 hours under that car planning how to kill her. 3 hours. That's not a moment of passion. That's not a snap decision. That's premeditation. That's cold-blooded murder. She left. The door slammed behind her. Damon's mother stood slowly. She looked at him like he was a stranger. Your father would be ashamed. He loved you so much. He believed in you. And this... She couldn't finish. She turned to Nala. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what my son did to you. Thank you, Mrs. Chen. I know this isn't easy. Will you press charges? Nala looked at Detective Morrison, then at Catherine Walsh, then at Damon. Yes, I'm pressing charges for attempted murder, for fraud, for reckless endangerment, for everything. Damon's mother nodded. Good. You should. She walked to the door. Stopped. Turned back one last time. I won't visit you in prison, Damon. I can't. I can't look at you and see my son anymore. All I see is a monster. She left. The apartment felt enormous suddenly. Empty. Just Damon, Nala, the detectives, and Catherine Walsh. There's more, Nala said. She pulled out a folder. Victor Kozlov provided me with records of Damon's gambling. Dates, amounts, locations. He gambled away $4.3 million over 2 years. My money, money from the dealership, money I earned. Detective Morrison took the folder. We'll need to examine these. Of course. I have copies of everything. Bank statements showing withdrawals, credit card records, casino surveillance footage. Nala had thought of everything. I also have recordings of conversations between Damon and Bianca where he promised to leave me, where he discussed the life insurance policy, where he told her to be patient, that soon he'd have enough money to start over with her. You recorded private conversations? Damon found his voice. That's illegal. In cases of suspected criminal activity, one-party consent recording is legal in this state. Catherine Walsh said, Your wife was protecting herself from a potential murderer. The courts will understand. This is entrapment. No, Mr. Chen. Entrapment is when law enforcement induces someone to commit a crime they wouldn't otherwise commit. Your wife simply documented the crime you were already planning. Catherine pulled out her own folder. I've prepared a complete legal analysis. Every piece of evidence is admissible. Every recording is legal. Every document is authentic. You're going to prison, Mr. Chen. The only question is for how long. Detective Morrison stood up. Mr. Chen, we need to go. Now, wait. Nala held up a hand. There's one more thing. She pulled up a final video on the laptop. I want him to see this. The video started. It was from yesterday. The hospital. Bianca's room. But the angle was wrong. Too low, too close. Then Damon realized someone had been wearing a camera. Nala had been wearing a camera. In the video, Bianca lay in the hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere. Her parents were there, the doctor, and Nala. Video Nala leaned close to Bianca's ear. Bianca's eyes were closed, but her monitor showed elevated heart rate. She could hear, Bianca. Video Nala whispered, I want you to know something. I warned you. I told you not to drive that car. But you couldn't help yourself, could you? You had to have what I had. You had to drive my car, wear my life, steal my husband, and now look at you. Broken, dying, all for a photo opportunity. Bianca's monitors beeped faster. Her eyes moved under closed lids. The funny thing is, Video Nala continued, Damon didn't even love you. He told me that, said you were clingy, desperate, that you were just something to do while he figured out how to kill me and take my money. You were never the prize, Bianca. You were just the collateral damage. In the present, Damon felt sick. You told her that while she was dying? I told her the truth. She deserved to know what she died for. Instagram likes and a man who never loved her. Nala closed the laptop. She died an hour later. The doctor said her heart just gave up. Too much trauma, too much pain, too much truth. You killed her, Damon whispered. You killed her with words. No, Damon, you killed her with actions. I just made sure she understood why. Nala turned to Detective Morrison. You can take him now. I'm done. The detective moved forward with handcuffs. Damon Chen, you're under arrest for attempted murder, fraud, and reckless endangerment. You have the right to remain silent. The words faded as the handcuffs clicked around Damon's wrists. Cold metal. Final. As they led him to the door, Damon looked back at Nala one last time. She stood by the window, silhouetted against the morning light, holding a glass of wine. The same wine he'd opened to celebrate her death. She raised the glass in a mock toast. Goodbye, Damon, she said softly. Enjoy your new life. The door closed behind him. 6 months later, the courtroom was packed. Damon sat at the defense table in an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed in front of him. He'd lost 30 pounds. His hair had gone gray at the temples. He looked like a different person, felt like a different person. The trial had lasted 3 weeks. 3 weeks of evidence. Video footage, expert testimony, financial records, phone recordings, text messages. Nala had documented everything with the precision of a surgeon. The prosecutor had been relentless. A woman in her 50s named Margaret Torres, with steel gray hair and a voice like a judge's gavel. She'd laid out the case piece by piece. The gambling debts, the life insurance policy, the research into brake line sabotage, the 3 hours under the car, Bianca's death. Damon's attorney had tried. Public defender named Marcus Webb. Young and earnest and completely outmatched. He'd argued entrapment. He'd argued that Nala had manipulated events. He'd argued that Bianca's decision to drive the car was her own responsibility. The jury hadn't been convinced. Now, the judge looked down at Damon from her bench. Judge Patricia Okonkwo, 60 years old, with eyes that had seen every kind of criminal and weren't impressed by any of them. Mr. Chen, the jury has found you guilty on all counts. Attempted murder in the first degree, insurance fraud, reckless endangerment resulting in death. Before I pass sentence, do you have anything to say? Damon stood slowly. His attorney had advised him to show remorse, to cry, to beg for mercy. But Damon was too tired for performance anymore. I loved my wife, he said quietly. I know no one believes that now. But I did. Once. Before the gambling. Before the debts. Before everything went wrong. He looked at Nala, sitting in the front row of the gallery. She wore black. She always wore black now. I was drowning. I couldn't see a way out, and I made the worst decision of my life. I tried to save myself by destroying her. And Bianca Moretti? The judge asked. What about her? Damon's voice broke. Bianca deserved better. She deserved honesty. She deserved a man who could love her without conditions. Instead, she got me. And my cowardice killed her as surely as if I'd pushed her off that cliff myself. Your remorse is noted, Judge Okonkwo said, but it doesn't change what you did. You spent 3 hours planning your wife's murder. You researched, you prepared, you executed your plan with precision. The only reason your wife is alive is because someone else died in her place. That doesn't make you less guilty. It makes you lucky. She adjusted her glasses. For the crime of attempted murder in the first degree, I sentence you to 25 years in state prison. For insurance fraud, an additional 5 years, to run consecutively. For reckless endangerment resulting in death, an additional 10 years, also consecutive. Total sentence, 40 years in prison, with possibility of parole after 30. Damon's legs buckled. His attorney caught him. 40 years, Damon whispered. I'll be 78. You'll be alive, Mr. Chen, which is more than you planned for your wife, which is more than Bianca Moretti will ever be. Judge Okonkwo banged her gavel. This court is adjourned. The bailiffs moved forward to take Damon away. As they led him past Nala, he tried to speak to her. Nala, please. She didn't look at him. She was scrolling through her phone, checking emails, as if he didn't exist, as if he'd already disappeared. 3 months after the sentencing. Nala stood in her office at Chen Luxury Motors, looking out over the showroom floor. Business was booming. The trial had brought publicity, and while some of it was negative, most of it had painted her as a survivor, a strong woman who'd overcome her husband's attempt on her life and brought him to justice. Sales were up 40%. She'd opened 2 new locations. She'd been featured in Forbes, in Bloomberg, in every business magazine that mattered. The woman who caught her would-be killer was how they described her. It was good for business. Her assistant buzzed, Mrs. Chen, there's someone here to see you. She says it's about Bianca Moretti. Nala's hand paused over her coffee cup. Send her in. The woman who entered was in her 50s, with Bianca's eyes and Bianca's cheekbones. Mrs. Moretti, Bianca's mother. Mrs. Chen. The woman's voice was careful, controlled. Thank you for seeing me. Please, sit down. Nala gestured to the chair across from her desk. I'm surprised you wanted to meet. I didn't. For a long time, I blamed you for my daughter's death. I thought, if you hadn't given her those keys, if you hadn't let her drive that car, she'd still be alive. Many people think that. The jury didn't, the judge didn't. They said Bianca made her own choice. That you warned her. That she chose status over safety. Mrs. Moretti's hands clenched in her lap. I wanted to hate you. It would be easier than hating my daughter for being foolish. Easier than hating your husband for being a monster. Easier than hating myself for raising a girl who valued Instagram likes more than her own life. Mrs. Moretti? But I can't hate you, because you were right. Everything you told Bianca that day in your office was true. Damon was using her. He would have killed her eventually, just like he tried to kill you. You tried to save her, and she didn't listen. That's not your fault. Nala was quiet for a moment. I could have done more. I could have physically stopped her from driving. Could you? Really? You didn't know for certain what Bianca would do. You gave her information and options. She made her choice. Mrs. Moretti pulled an envelope from her purse. I'm not here to blame you. I'm here to give you this. Nala opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $200,000 and a letter. Bianca's life insurance, Mrs. Moretti explained. Her father and I discussed it. We don't want money that came from our daughter's death. But we also know that Damon's legal fees and the civil suit left you with significant expenses. This is our way of saying, we don't blame you. We're sorry for what you went through. We're sorry our daughter was part of it. Mrs. Moretti, I can't accept this. Please, it would mean a lot to us. Use it for something good. Start a scholarship fund. Donate it to a women's shelter. Whatever you think is right. The older woman stood up. I just wanted you to know that not everyone sees you as the villain in this story. Some of us see you as the survivor. She left. Nala sat alone in her office, holding the check and the letter. She read Bianca's mother's words again. Some of us see you as the survivor. Was that what she was? A survivor? Or something else? She thought about that night in the garage, installing cameras. She thought about finding the insurance policy and making a plan. She thought about warning Bianca, giving her the keys, watching her drive away. Had she really tried to save Bianca? Or had she wanted Bianca to make that choice? Had she needed someone to suffer in her place so the evidence would be perfect? Nala didn't know anymore. And that uncertainty lived in her chest like a stone. 1 year after the trial, Damon sat in the visitation room at Stateville Correctional Center. He wore prison blues now. His hair was completely gray. His hands shook slightly, a side effect of the prison meds they'd put him on after his first suicide attempt. Across from him, his cellmate's girlfriend sat holding her boyfriend's hands, crying. His mother was there with his little brother, bringing photos of the family. Normal prison visits. People who still loved the inmates. People who still cared. No one came to visit Damon. His mother had kept her word. She'd written him once, 6 months ago. A short letter. I pray for you every night. I pray for your soul. But I cannot see you. I cannot forgive what you did. Maybe God can. I can't. Jennifer had sent divorce papers for Nala to sign, professional and cold, no personal message. And Nala, nothing. Silence. She'd moved on with her life as if he'd never existed. Damon spent his days in the prison library, reading, thinking, replaying everything in his mind. The cascade of choices that had led him here. The first bet that became 100 bets. The first loan that became $1 million of debt. The moment he'd looked at Nala sleeping beside him and thought, she's worth more dead than alive. He'd thought he was desperate. He'd thought he had no choice. But sitting in prison with 30 years stretching ahead of him, Damon finally understood. He'd always had choices. He just made the wrong ones. Every time. A guard appeared at the door. Chen, you've got mail. Damon looked up, surprised. No one wrote to him anymore. The guard handed him an envelope. Expensive paper. No return address. But he recognized the handwriting. Nala. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a single photograph and a note. The photograph showed Nala standing in front of a building. A new building. Modern architecture. Glass and steel. The sign read, Bianca Moretti, Memorial Center for Financial Literacy and Women's Empowerment. The note was brief. Damon, I used Mrs. Moretti's donation, combined with funds from the dealership, to build this center. It teaches young women about financial independence, about recognizing manipulative relationships, about understanding their worth beyond what men tell them they're worth. Every year, we'll graduate 100 women who will never need a man to pay their bills, who will never value a Mercedes more than their own lives, who will never end up like Bianca. I want you to know that something good came from this, that Bianca's death meant something, that your 40 years in prison are buying freedom for thousands of women who will never know your name but will benefit from your crime. You wanted to know if I'm a monster or a survivor. I've decided I'm both. I survived you by becoming someone you couldn't destroy, and maybe that required monstrous choices. Maybe letting Bianca drive that car was evil. Maybe documenting everything and engineering your downfall makes me no better than you. But I sleep at night, Damon. Do you? Don't write back. This is the last time you'll hear from me. N. Damon sat in the visitation room, holding the photograph and the note, and realized he was crying. Not for himself. Not for the 30 years ahead. But for Bianca. For the girl who'd wanted so badly to matter that she'd driven a sabotaged car to prove her worth. Are you okay, man? His cellmate, Marcus, sat down beside him. 22 years old, in for armed robbery, but decent enough. They'd become something like friends. No, Damon said honestly, I'm not okay, and I don't think I ever will be again. What did you get? Marcus gestured to the letter. A reminder that the people we hurt don't stop existing just because we're locked up. They keep living. They keep building. They keep turning our mistakes into meaning. Heavy stuff, man. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. Come on! Dinner's in 20. They got meatloaf today. Or what they call meatloaf. Damon followed Marcus back to the cell block, but his mind was miles away. On Nala standing in front of a building built from tragedy. On Bianca's mother choosing forgiveness over revenge. On himself at 38, thinking he could murder his way out of his problems. That night, lying on his thin prison mattress, Damon made a decision. He couldn't undo what he'd done. Couldn't bring Bianca back. Couldn't erase the 3 hours he'd spent under that car, but he could live with it. He could carry it. Every day for the next 30 years, he could wake up and choose to remember what his choices had cost. It wasn't redemption. Redemption was for people who deserved second chances. But it was something, A way to survive the time. A way to make sure Bianca Moretti wasn't forgotten, at least not by the man who'd killed her, 5 years after the trial. Nala stood on the balcony of her new home, not the penthouse she'd shared with Damon. She'd sold that the day after the trial. This was a house in the hills, modern and minimalist, with a view of the ocean instead of the city. No memories here, no ghosts. Well, almost no ghosts. Sometimes, late at night, she still heard them. Bianca's voice saying, "Finally driving the car I deserve." Damon's footsteps in the garage at 3:47 a.m. The detective's words, "The brake line was deliberately compromised. She'd built an empire from the ruins of her marriage. 3 dealerships now. The Bianca Moretti Center, a foundation for domestic violence survivors. Forbes had called her one of the most influential businesswomen in the state, but success didn't quiet the ghosts. Her therapist, she'd started seeing one after the trial, said it was normal. You went through trauma. You survived an attempted murder. That changes you fundamentally." What the therapist didn't know, couldn't know, was that Nala wasn't haunted by what Damon had done to her. She was haunted by what she'd done to Bianca. She'd told herself she'd warned the girl, given her choices. But late at night, alone with the ocean and the stars, Nala admitted the truth she couldn't say in court, couldn't write in letters, couldn't speak out loud. She'd wanted Bianca to drive that car, had needed her to, because attempted murder was hard to prove. But actual murder, with a body and evidence and a grieving family, was easy. Bianca's death had guaranteed Damon's conviction, had made Nala's revenge perfect and complete, and that made her, what, a murderer? A survivor? Both? Nala didn't know. Maybe she never would. Her phone buzzed. Text from Catherine Walsh, her attorney who'd become something like a friend. "Dinner tomorrow, new place downtown, my treat," Nala typed back. "Sounds good. 7? Perfect. And Nala, stop brooding. You did what you had to do. He tried to kill you. You made sure he couldn't kill anyone else. That's justice, not murder." Nala looked at the message for a long time. Catherine believed it. The jury had believed it. The judge had believed it. Even Bianca's mother had believed it. So why couldn't Nala believe it herself? She walked back inside, poured herself a glass of wine, not the expensive stuff anymore, just something simple and good, and sat down at her computer. She'd been working on something for months. A memoir, her story, the whole truth. The file was titled The Price of Survival. She opened it, read what she'd written, and added a new paragraph. "People ask me if I'm proud of what I did, if I'm glad Damon went to prison, if I sleep well at night knowing justice was served. The truth is complicated. Yes, Damon deserved to be caught. Yes, he would have killed me if given the chance. Yes, he needed to be stopped. But Bianca didn't deserve to die. She was foolish and vain and made terrible choices, but she didn't deserve to be broken on a highway in a car I gave her keys to. Sometimes I wonder if I could have stopped her, if I could have done more, if I chose the perfect revenge over the right thing. I'll never know, and I'll carry that uncertainty for the rest of my life. Maybe that's my real sentence, not prison bars, but the knowledge that to save myself, I had to sacrifice someone else. Even if she made her own choices, even if I warned her, even if legally I did nothing wrong, morally, ethically, that's a different question, one I'm still trying to answer." Nala saved the file, closed her laptop, and walked to the window. The ocean stretched out below, dark and endless. Somewhere out there, Damon sat in a cell, counting days. Somewhere out there, Bianca was buried in New Jersey, her Instagram account still active, frozen in time at 25 forever. And here, Nala stood in her beautiful house, with her successful business, with her hard-won freedom, wondering if survival and justice were the same thing, or if she'd become the very monster she'd been trying to escape. She raised her glass to her reflection in the window. "To the price of survival," she whispered. "Whatever that price may be." The reflection stared back, silent, knowing, unforgiving. 10 years after the trial. The Bianca Moretti Memorial Center graduation ceremony. Nala sat in the front row, watching 100 young women receive certificates in financial literacy, business management, and self-empowerment. They were diverse, They were brilliant. They were free. One of them, a 23-year-old named Sarah, gave a speech. 3 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship. My boyfriend controlled all the money, told me I was worthless without him, made me believe I couldn't survive on my own. This center taught me differently, taught me my value, taught me that I could build my own life, my own success, my own future. Today, I own my own business. I'm engaged to a man who respects me, and I'm here because someone believed women deserved better. The audience applauded. Nala felt tears on her cheeks. After the ceremony, Sarah approached her. Mrs. Chen, I wanted to thank you personally for building this place, for giving women like me a chance. You did the work, Nala said. I just provided the space. Still, this place saved my life. Literally. I was planning to go back to him. I thought I had no choice. And then I found this center, and I learned I always had choices. I just needed to see them. Sarah paused. I read about why you built this place. About Bianca. About your husband. I'm sorry for what you went through. I'm sorry for what Bianca went through. She deserved better. She did. And now, because of her, hundreds of women are getting better. That means something, doesn't it? Nala watched Sarah walk away, confident and strong and free, and for the first time in 10 years, the stone in her chest felt a little lighter. Maybe she'd never know if she was a survivor or a monster. Maybe she was both. Maybe that was the price of living in a world where good people made terrible choices, and terrible choices sometimes led to good outcomes. But standing here, watching women graduate who would never be controlled, never be abused, never value a car more than their own lives, Nala thought, maybe this is enough. Maybe this is how you live with yourself. By making sure the damage you caused creates something worth more than what was destroyed. She thought about Damon in prison, counting days, about Bianca in the ground, forever 25, about herself, standing here at 44, successful and lonely and haunted. I'm sorry, she whispered to the ghost only she could see. I'm so sorry, Bianca, but I'm trying to make it mean something. I'm trying to make your death save others. It's not enough. It will never be enough. But it's all I have. The ghost didn't answer. Ghost never did. But somewhere, in the rustle of programs and the laughter of graduates and the sound of women celebrating their freedom, Nala thought she heard forgiveness. Or maybe just acceptance. Maybe that was enough. She walked to her car, an Audi now, never a Mercedes again, and drove toward the ocean, toward her house with no memories, toward her life built from rubble. Behind her, the Bianca Moretti Memorial Center stood tall and strong, a monument to a girl who'd made the wrong choice and a woman who'd made sure that choice meant something. And in prison, 300 miles away, Damon looked at a photo of that same building and understood, finally, what he'd really taken from the world. Not just Bianca's life, not just his own freedom, but the simple, beautiful belief that people could love each other without price tags attached. That marriages could survive without insurance policies. That desperation didn't have to mean destruction. He'd killed that belief as surely as he'd killed Bianca, and no amount of time would bring it back.